And we are live. Welcome to episode number 4 with Daily Live with Dr. Surya. Couple of days back, I got this little text from a person. He said, Surya, is it okay if we can hop in on a call? Something inside me said, instead of directly calling up that person or scheduling a call, let me inquire a little bit more. May I know what is it about? Is it okay if you can either write it to me over text or maybe send me a voice note so that I can understand the context before scheduling the call, and that'll make the best use of both our time. And the person was kind enough to understand, and he dropped me a certain set of points, around 7 to 8 points. So for each of the points, I kind of organized my words and I shared him 8 voice notes. And then I asked him, do you still feel we need to hop in on a call? He said, no. In fact, thank you so much. Now that you've given me the answers, every time I face these doubts, I can come back to the voice notes. That's one episode. The second episode happened last night. One of my, I will not really say clients, it's like the company where I'm working, one of the community members wanted some help. And she tried calling me in the afternoon. So, of course, what I do is I don't really save that many numbers. I have only limited numbers saved. I have this very interesting app in my phone that tells me the name of the person who's calling, from where are they calling from. So all those details immediately gets activated the moment I receive a call. So I was not clear who was the person called. That's why I didn't pick. And usually weekends I do not pick any calls. I try and stay away from all forms of calls until unless it's mandatory. So in the evening, she called again. I didn't pick up. And then towards the later evening part, 8:30ish is when she called up. The same set of things. Surya, there are certain things I want to ask you. Is it okay if I can continue having the conversation? Now, I had already initiated the call. So there was no way I could tell that, can you drop it to me over WhatsApp, over voice note or text? What I realized was the whole voice note and text, the initial episode that I told you about, the entire conversation got over within 7 to 8 minutes because the voice notes lasted between 30 to 40 seconds each. The second, the one that happened last night, it lasted for almost 15 to 20 minutes. At the end of the call, she told me, Surideep, whatever we spoke, can you give me a message on what are my actionables? So I had to take another 2 to 3 minutes time to kind of jot down first of all, recollect what all we have discussed, and then compile all the points and share it with her. Was that really necessary? So in today's live, what I thought is we will kind of summarize every single thing that we have discussed over the last couple of days and bring you the 5 forms of communication which we practice being completely unaware, unconscious, happening in autopilot mode. And then suddenly we realize and say to ourselves, oh, I'm not a good person, or that person doesn't understand me, or I'm not able to communicate things the way I would ideally want to. How often have you seen situations, incidents, moments in your personal life, professional life, work life, in any first time meeting people or any networking event where you are either not able to understand what the other person is saying, or you are saying something else, you want to say something else is coming out, the other person is understanding it in some other way. Happens. So today we're going to decode all of that. And in order to do so, as usual, I have my mind map, but it's not really mind map as such, because for today's session, I wanted to keep it more of practical based, as in example and scenario based. Okay. So the 5 forms of communication that comes in are impromptu communication, perspectives, we have messages, debates, and finally conflicts. So if you look at the intensity and impact of each of these 5 forms in our personal life, professional life, the more difficult things become, the more further down the line we get in these five forms. And I hope you will agree with me in this. Our biggest learnings in our day-to-day life over a period of time happens across each of these five forms of communication. Whether you agree or not, I will make sure that I make you agree by the end of this session. Okay? So let's get started. Impromptu is when you speak without any preparation, which means it's just spontaneous daily conversations. The people you meet every single day, you are introduced to new things in life in something or the other. Of course, the usuals continue. You're going to the grocery to buy stuff, you're ordering food online. But then if you look at it, every conversation has its uniqueness. You cannot speak exactly the same words with people you meet every day also, isn't it? So you look at a couple of impromptu scenarios. You're in your office, there's a meeting that conducted, and your boss or reporting manager asks you, what's your opinion about this new policy? Or what is your opinion about our new product? Now you have to organize your thoughts and within a moment of time share, isn't it? Or your friend says, how was your weekend? Your parents are asking you, how are you? Is everything okay? Or even when you want to engage in a conversation with anyone, the other person also has to think and answer in an organized manner. The worst part happens is when you're meeting someone new and you're trying to break the ice or connect in a conversation. How do you make that happen? So a very simple method to go about it is you I don't really want to create any system or framework, but you might as well consider this. It's called the TBS framework. T stands for think. The moment you're asked a question, it's important to process the question. What has been asked? And you allow yourself a couple of seconds to organize your thoughts. It's also important to ask the person for some time. Is it okay if I can take a few seconds to just process whatever you asked me? And the person will give you the time. It happens every single time, whether I'm on stage, I'm talking to someone in person, privately, every single time the same thing happens. So think. Once you think, here's what I like to do. I like to breathe. Then I start speaking. Think, breathe, and speak. When you are thinking and breathing, thinking is when you're organizing. Okay, fine. What is my opinion on this new policy, or what are my thoughts on the presentation? Here are the things that I liked. Here are the things that I can improve on. I would love to share my opinion on. This is my feedback. These are my suggestions. This is what can be made better. So at least the overall structure is there in my head. Because I thought about it, I get to process it properly. And then when I breathe, it kind of gets nicely absorbed in, synced in. Then as you start sharing, you can organize it beautifully and share. Try it out. It works like magic. Second is the power of perspectives. Now, perspective is when we are sharing a particular point of view. And at the end of the day, if you see, we all find the people we like, move away from the people we hate, we dislike, because of perspectives. I was reading this book called The Art of Speaking by Dale Carnegie. He's one of the craziest public speaking, is one of the OGs in public speaking and communication training back in the last century. And his seminars were completely sold out with the step-by-step systems and methods that he would teach. Now, he mentioned this very interesting thing that a man is what his perspectives make of him. So now, perspectives can always be contradictory. Let me give you an example and let me immediately give you some kind of a shock right now. So I personally believe that people who smoke and drink shouldn't even be allowed to stay alive in this world. They are like the next pandemic or the next epidemic. This is a very, very strong perspective. I also back up that perspective by sharing. I don't even speak to people who smoke and drink, nor do I intend to. Because at the end of the day, their thoughts, words, and deeds are not in alignment. And when there's not an alignment, there is a deeper integrity issue. When you cannot even be self-integral enough to take care of yourself, knowing, you're educated enough, you take that box of cigarettes and it's written over there, smoking kills. It's written over there. The impact is written. What can happen? It's written. There are ads running, and still you take it out and you smoke, and you kind of, uh, what's that called? You validate it by saying, no, it's okay. Or I can do it. Or there's so many else who are doing it. This is a very, very strong perspective. Now, if you observe, if you rewind and observe the last couple of seconds, what I just did, I shared a very strong perspective. And then I shared one or two explanations or further pointers of the same to validate it, to prove, to justify it. The same way, if I'm talking to you right now, probably you agree, probably you disagree, you will also try to prove your point. So perspective is when you have a certain point, you take a certain example, and you share your insight. If you observe the way I did, I believe so and so, so and so. Because, again, I gave a certain set of stuff, which means, again, I spoke about integrity and all of those things. So you understood the structure of sharing perspectives. You start with a point, you share an example, and then you share an insight. You can call it as the PEI method of sharing perspective. Interesting. So while I'm giving you all these examples, I also want you to make a note of what are those unique perspectives that you have. Or in the previous segment, what will be those the flow that you would like to speak about, the unscripted flow every single time you engage in any form of a conversation. Are we ready to move to the third one? This one is very subtle. It took me a little bit of a time to frame and structure it. It's called messages. Messages, I'm not talking about the usual text messages. It's more like when you want to prove one particular point and you take certain pieces from here and there to come to that common ground, which means you have some form of you're trying to accomplish some form of an alignment or an understanding towards a goal with a proper clarity and consensus. Let's take a couple of examples. You want to connect with a group of investors, and you want to ensure that the point, mission, vision, values, product, every single thing is evenly made to be understood to all the people within that room. Or you're trying to organize an event and you have multiple team members responsible for specific elements, and you want all of them to be in sync. Even family discussions. So what's the structure in that? I'll tell you this very interesting incident, and that's the example that I can take. My brother and I had booked uh, uh, a stand-up comedy show of his name was Abhishek Upamanyu. Yeah, I think I took his name right. Yes. So we had booked on a certain date and time, and then for some reason the show got cancelled. They postponed the show. A lady called me up. Hi, this is Sneha. Am I speaking to Dr. Surya? Yes, yes, speaking. How can I help you? Yeah, actually, it's me who wants to help you. I'm calling from Abhishek Upamanyu's team. I want to inform you and apologize in advance that the show that you had booked had got cancelled. So the date has been postponed to whatever 20th to 25th of this particular month. So is it okay? Like, we can give you the option of either refunding your ticket, or as a token of gratitude and apology note as well, we would like to upgrade you to platinum ticket, which means you'll get first seat rows. So what would you like to do? Okay, that's interesting. Uh, is it okay if I can just request you to call me back after 4:30 p.m. and then give you a confirmation, if that's okay? Because I already have my schedules packed and I haven't yet thought about it. So And this is completely like a surprise. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Why not? I'll give you a call at around 4:30. Is that okay? Yeah, you can even text me over WhatsApp if, I mean, oh, will that be okay? Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Why not? That's it, done. So now this conversation ended. When this conversation ended, my brother and I, we were discussing, oh, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? Should we, on that specific day itself, where the postponed date, that date, there was a celebration of our guru's birthday, Bhagwan Sri Satya Sai Baba, his birthday. And in there is something called as a Sai Samiti, where all the Samiti members related to that organization, they come and celebrate the birthday. And this was the first time in 3 or 4 years where both of us were there in Kolkata. Mummy had told us to come to attend the particular birthday happening in that same set of time, which was evening 6 to 8 p.m. So my brother and I, we didn't know what to do. And that's when I saw him taking responsibility. He walked up to Mummy and he said, Mummy, there is something that I want to tell you. Baba was also there. Baba is dad, Mummy is mom. So, Mummy, Baba, there's something I want to ask you, but is it okay if I can ask that to you without you getting angry or scolding us? And they were like, yeah, please. Okay. Oh, yeah, tell me. So then beautifully he constructed the whole episode, what happened, why it happened, and everything, and then asked, uh, what do you think we all should do? So either we can take the refund or we can get a phenomenal experience. Now, I was watching this from the other room, literally peeping and watching, okay, what is going to happen? Because I tried this so many times with my parents. Every single time, I would not get what I want. Either they would get angry, they would scold, there would be some form of a rift. But to my utter surprise, Mummy and Baba said, yeah, I mean, why not? You're getting, see, birthday, I know it's important, and I know you all will come back within that time, but you paid for a normal ticket, you're getting a platinum upgrade, you'll get to watch the show right from the front row. Why not? Just go for it. And brother thanked and this thing, and he didn't even leave it there. Okay, he was continuing. No, but you had said that we have to attend the thing. Won't you get angry? Or right now you're telling this, but once you go in the samiti, you will not see us. Everyone will ask you, what will you tell them and all. And he continued this back and forth. It was more of them justifying that why you should go. When he came back and I asked him, wow, how did you manage to do it? And he was just giving me a smirk like this. So coming back, what did he do? If we deconstruct this entire incident, the first thing he did is he had an intent. What was the intent? We will go to watch the show, but we will do so by taking permission and also in such a manner where parents are not angry. So the intent was very, very clear. Second was sharing the information in a step-by-step manner, one step at a time, bullet points, scene by scene, what happened. Then to close the agreement, he is asking rhetorical questions in the form of a permission. Does that make sense? So the structure for any message that you would like to give, you can do the same thing. Now, I gave the example of this little incident. You can take the example of any corporate meeting or any event management, anything of this sort. The intent, information, agreement. Once you follow this entire step, everyone is going to be in sync. And at the end, what happens is, if I have to break down the structure even more, here is what we want. Here is what we already know. And I want us to decide together. Make sense? Hope you're enjoying the examples also. By the way, this is exactly how I share stories. Even if you meet me in person, you will see me sharing these stories in this exactly same animated manner. That's why I'm not, uh, before I used to get into this whole zone where I am literally performing the story in front of you, all those characterizations and everything. But then I realized I'm losing the joy of being who I really am. So it's not really mandatory for you to share the story exactly like how I did. You can even do back and forth of sharing what happened. This person said this, that person said that. The reason I like to enact it a little more so that you feel more present. So you have got to write, type and write to me below whether you are feeling more present or not. Okay. So I can see, Yogeshwari is here. Okay, good to, fantastic. Loving it. Okay. Let's move to the fourth point. The fourth form of story is called a debate. And you must have either observed or heard about debate contests, debate competitions, and all of these things. But have you ever considered that every single point of time in our life, there is some debate or the other that is going on? What is a debate, firstly? Let's understand it. Debate is when you are sharing a point. That's it. And the way the concept of debate is designed is the communication will always be persuasive, which means you got to convince the other person. You got to prove to the other person. The other person has to accept what you are trying to prove. The way it is designed, the process of debate, it is either to convince others of your viewpoint or get convinced by the other's viewpoint. So there could be, I'll throw you a couple of very interesting debate topics. Should human beings get married? Yes or no? Which is more important, faith or experience? Giving birth to children, should we do it? Should we not do it? Parents, should we stay with parents after we become adults or move out and stay separately? Very, very critical topics. And let me enlighten you that these are exactly the topics that you at some point of time must have heard from friends, relatives, parents, colleagues, so on and so forth. The worst part happens is when we don't even know that we are in the debate. Suddenly the conversation soon turns into a back and forth that goes on. Now, I'm able to come to this realization because over the last couple of years, I've never had a very good relationship with my parents. Growing up, I was a rebel. And at a point of time when I realized I had bare minimum money to survive all by myself, I decided to pack my bags and leave home. To this date, I stay away from home. I visit home once or twice or thrice in a year, and I don't intend to to go home permanently unless I have established something on my own where I can kind of move back and forth in different cities and bring my parents with me also. But again, that's a completely separate topic. I don't want to digress. Let's come back. How do you work towards a debate? The first, again, a very, very four simple step formula. It's called the CECC method. Okay, CECC method. Okay. Now, by the way, all these methods, no, I'll tell you the truth. I was trying to come up with different frameworks, but then I thought it's way too difficult to process a particular training, as in telling you how to do it. But then I always need an assistant. So why not take AI's help? So all these systems that you're seeing, it's all with the brainstorming with AI. Okay? But the stories and the way I'm teaching, that's obviously me. Okay? This is not AI. This is Sudeep live in front of you. Okay? So CECC method. The first thing, when it comes to debate, you need to stake a claim. Claim as in, what is it that you're trying to prove? The moment that the what is clear, everything becomes easy. Once the what is clear, once the claim is being made, so I'll give you a little example. Indian urban cities right now, 2025, 86%, as per the recent NSTC, I guess, the report that I just read a couple of days back. Not able to remember the exact publication, but it's a very, very famous scientific paper. 83% of married couples, especially millennials, are struggling in their marriage. That's a claim. Now, the E is evidence. So I just told you a claim that people should not get married because this is the evidence. And then I will provide certain other evidences. That's now, once I've shared all the evidence, the person I'm having a debate with, they are going to counter. They are going to either go for or against of whatever I'm trying to say. Most importantly, in a debate, it usually goes the other way around. It's against. So the moment you see that the other person is trying to go against whatever you're trying to say, you got to be able to counter. And the best way to counter is either of the two ways. Either you pound down on your pointers, on your claims, or you counter their points. You go against their claims. So you double down on what you are speaking about, and you go completely against of what they are speaking about. Again, with all proper evidence. If that happens, this whole cycle goes back and forth, then we will achieve a common conclusion. But then there are a lot of difficult elements that comes in the debate. And I'm sure you at some point of time must have had a debate. A friend whom you lost, a relative whom you never wanted to speak to again, someone you had a fight or an argument with. There are three very important things that we forget at that point of time. The first is we are not fighting against the person. We are collectively looking at a problem from two different directions, isn't it? It's not about whether we should get married or not. Marriage, the concept, is the problem here. The other person is taking their claim to say that we should get married because of certain set of reasons. You are going against, in you as in this case me, I am going against marriage because I have certain evidences. But we are all talking about the problem, right? And once you keep the problem in the forefront, not the person, only then you will be able to stay calm. Because unless you stay calm, you are not debating, you are attacking the other person. It's happened so many times. I still remember a couple of months back itself, I went to my cousin's wedding. And because I'm touching 30, my cousin is pretty much the same age as I am, just a couple of months elder. The very next thing everyone was asking, oh, next is your turn. You're going to get married. Pretty much I am also in line in terms of age as well. But I was getting offended. I was either going away or I was charging people like, the hell, who the hell are you to tell me to get married? Who do you think you are? And my parents were like, don't get angry, don't get angry, don't blast them, don't. But then I was not even aware at that point that I was not looking at the problem, I was attacking the person. So staying calm prevents you from attacking the person. You got to start attacking ideas, attacking the evidence, validate it with experience. So in evidence, one is data, one is practical experiences. Does that make sense? So if you observe what I'm doing right now, I took one very, very simple topic and I'm moving back and forth, and I'm also weaving certain elements and subtle elements of storytelling while I'm explaining this entire topic to you. Debates, it's hard to do with people you're emotionally connected with, always. And the whole idea of debates also moves towards elements like negotiation. How do you get that additional salary? Provide evidence, back it up with experiences to prove that you deserve the salary. Come to a conclusion, get that stake. Now, debate is when things become serious. Now we're ready to move to the last one. This is about conflicts. Conflict is when, if you look at the structure so far, we started out with impromptu communication. Impromptu communication, will you agree with me that when all of these little things, impromptu communication, we don't know the structure, we don't even know how to get started. As we are talking impromptu, we are also sharing perspectives impromptu. We are sharing multiple perspectives and sharing a common message. Common message gets exchanged, messages, conversations, perspectives gets exchanged, and that leads to a debate. When debates escalate further, that's what leads to conflict. What is a conflict? The moment emotions take over a conversation. Emotionally charged conversations where ego, emotion, identity, and labels are involved. Have you ever heard this kind of a statement told to you? You will always be like this, or you are always like this. You never understand. From childhood, this is the same problem that's been going on over and over. Why do you keep doing the same thing over and over again? When will you learn? Even after these many years, when will you learn? Now, I've heard this from my bosses. I've heard this from my parents. I've heard this from the people who care about me. I've also heard this from the people who are meeting me for the first time. What happens when you're being subjected to things like this? You feel a little rattled inside, isn't it? Or even very, very subtle things like your manager taking the credit for your work, you not getting the appreciation that you deserve, or the growth that you deserve related to the work that you're doing, the family arguments related to the choices of your life, your thought process, your perspectives. It could even be maybe in front of clients, there's a disagreement with the colleague and suddenly turned into an argument or a conflict in front of a group of people, or you are being singled out. You remember the school days when we were asked to uh, hold our ears and stand up on the bench? Very leaves a very, very deep imprint and impact. So how do you structure that? The first and foremost thing to understand, to look at it, is to keep your emotions in check. So I have this little thing which I've been following very unconsciously, but in a recent conversation with one of my dear friends, is an elder brother, literally. He We were talking about how can we shield ourselves from difficult conversations, especially in amongst family. And I taught him, I just came up with this little concept which I've been very unconsciously following, and I'd like to share it with you also. It's called the process of shielding. The process of shielding, like, I want you to do this with me. Take your hands, lift your hands in front like this. Okay, let me see if I can. Yeah, yeah. Bring your hands up like this. Okay. Face it towards me. Yeah, I can see your 10 fingers. Okay. Interlock them and then lock it up properly. Okay. Now, if you see in a standard boxing match, this is what they'll tell to protect. Or if it's a mixed martial arts or something, this is how they protect. This is how they protect. Okay. So when you hold it like this, the moment you hold it like this becomes an anchor for your body to remind you that this is your shield. And if you just scan it up like this, do it with me right now. Okay. Just do it like this. What you're doing is you're activating a shield. What is, again, is this literally a shield? It's not like that. It's just like a perspective. What is the perspective? From this moment on, I am not going to allow my emotions to be affected by this conversation. Let me give you one example right now. You just activated the shield. Let's activate the shield one more. 3, 2, 1. Okay. Now let me prove it to you. What am I trying to say? I have never seen such a horrible person in my life other than you. You are the worst human being I've ever seen in this world. How are you feeling? Are you smiling? Hey, come on, you can't smile. I'm literally telling you that you're the worst human being I've ever met. Still smiling? Why? Because both you and I know that it's not the truth. And also because you did not allow those words to seep into you and affect you. But that happened either in an unaware mode or an unconscious mode. Similarly, conflicts happen when you unconsciously and in an unaware manner allow things to get absorbed and processed. People tell you that you're fat and you start thinking you're fat. Ugly. You're ugly. Can never achieve anything. Never achieve anything. And then the ego takes over. And suddenly you are getting into the fight, flight, flight mode. By the way, this happens when we least expect it. Least expect it. Okay, I'll not take, I don't want to explain too much. We'll get into the technique. Maybe in some future examples, I'll talk about it. Uh, so the first thing you do is you pause. So the whole concept of this is called yeah, the first thing is pause. Pause. When do you pause? The moment you realize that I'm not having control in this conversation anymore. I'm not having control on me anymore. I can burst out anytime. How will you know that? The moment you see your head boiling over, your blood boiling over, you're feeling something in your chest, the anger is creeping in, and you will know when you are angry. Just we need a little awareness. That's it. When you pause, you breathe it in, you settle down. When you settle down, you just activate your shield. Now, what if you're in front of a meeting? You need not really do like this every single time in front of everyone. Just holding your fingers like this and just very softly keeping it down. That also activates the shield. Activating a shield is a sign from which you are not going to allow anything else to come in. You're going to shield yourself. You're going to remind yourself that this conversation is not going to affect me anymore. Give yourself the permission. Because once you do that, the second thing, the next step after the pause is the acknowledgement. The moment you acknowledge someone, you completely break the conflict once and for all by saying, I understand I hear what you say. I hear what you say. Not that I understand, I hear what you say. Works like magic. The moment they realize that the conflict is gone, like they can continue arguing, but there's no point arguing because you already accepted. You've acknowledged them. The moment you acknowledge, the next step is to reframe whatever point that you want to prove or whatever point that they are wanting to prove. Turn the entire conversation into a question. And this is going to take some practice. I'll give you the example that I was thinking of giving. I thought I will not give, but then I realized right now when I'm sharing that as I'm giving you the entire structure, it's also my responsibility to give you the example. Reframe by asking questions. Once the question answer happens, when the other person will not know that you're actually taking control of the conversation. But slowly, as you ask questions, you will soon realize that the conflict is automatically, layer by layer, it's getting resolved. What's the structure? I hear what you say. First thing is obviously pause and then acknowledge. I hear what you say. I hear what you say and I understand your concern. Two different things. I didn't understand what you're trying to say. I hear what you say, but I understand the concerns that you're having. Let's find out what works for both. Can we agree on that? Is it okay if we can team up and solve the problem together? So now let's come to the example. My present boss and mentor, Dr. M.V. Priyank, he took our entire team to a seminar, 3-day seminar. And a couple of our office colleagues, we were staying together in the hotel. So we were attending the events the entire day and just the night coming to the hotel to rest and relax and next morning go there. So there was a colleague of mine who, for some reason or the other, there was always this tendency to prove himself right and prove me wrong. I was having a conversation with a group of people and I have the habit of drinking a lot of water. So I ended up telling, I drink at least 8 to 10 liters of water, which is pretty much true. If this is the bottle, which is of 2 liters, I end up finishing 4 to 5 liters, 4 to 5 such bottles every day. So he immediately turned, he was sitting in front of me, he immediately turned and said, huh, what a liar, 8 to 10 liters, it seems. And the person I was speaking to also looked a little shocked and started looking at me. Immediately, my instinct was, okay, now I have to defend myself. No, I mean, but then I was calm. Uh, I was last couple of days, that's what I was drinking. No, we were getting these many bottles of water and all. Huh, chalo, let's sit down and let's count. Huh? Yesterday, what time did you take the first bottle and so on? And so on and so forth. I just continue to realize that he was trying to push me into submission to admit that I lied, and I was trying to prove myself that I didn't. Because at the end of the day, I don't exactly know the specifics of it, right? Whether it was 8 liters, whether it was 10 liters, whether I took 10 bottles of 500 ml or 12 bottles of 500 ml. Now we have to sit down and count, and I don't really want to do it. So from the point when I realized that that things were moving back and forth, that's when, okay, he asked me a question. This lady was also looking at me in a weird manner. What are we trying to do here? Is it okay if I know, if I can get to know? And then he was a little taken aback. No, I just want you to know that you are not drinking as much of water as you are telling. Then it struck me. Oh, so are you trying to tell me that you are actually trying to help me become aware how much water did I drink yesterday so that you can hold me accountable that I drink 10 liters today? Is that what you're trying to say? And then he was also a little taken aback. He didn't expect that, right? He was like, yeah, but also at the same time, I want to prove that no human being can drink 8 to 10 liters water together. Oh, okay. So you want to prove that, and what's that going to establish? Well, I mean, what is that going to establish? And he was completely taken aback. But then he said, no, I didn't want to get into an argument and all. I said, no, that I understand. But uh, I'm just trying to understand the whole objective of continuing with this conversation. Soon the whole, because we are colleagues, right, we kind of realized that how we got into an argument mode. And every time I was drinking water, like, yeah, see, I'm drinking, here we go, 1 liter finished, one gulp. And soon this became a fun banter. Later in the evening, we were just talking about something else, and he kind of put his shoulder around me and he said, sir, I want to say sorry. Sorry for what? No, I mean, I feel like I overstepped. What are you talking about? I completely forgot about the whole thing. No, and then he gave me an entire explainer on why does he get into an argument. Well, that was a completely different story altogether. But I just gave you an example of what's possible. And of course, at this point of time, you need to be a little self-aware and not really allow your ego to take over, even though age-wise, experience-wise, and in every possible manner, I was senior to him. But at that point of time, nothing else matters. What matters is you are having a conflict. A conflict has started with a fellow human being. And the human in you should have the basic compassion and empathy to understand that you're not fighting against a fellow human being. You're fighting against a problem. So if the other person doesn't understand, it's your responsibility to find the problem, team up together, and then solve it. Of course, it has come with these many years of practice and these many years of failing and then learning. And I just gave you an example of how to do it. So who is it that you're going to try this with? To summarize, today's live, I don't know how you felt, but I am feeling very empowered because of the way things just unfolded. We discussed 5 different forms of communication, which we follow, unfollow. We are aware, unaware, doesn't matter, but something that we implement. Impromptu, perspectives. Okay, wait, let me expand on a little bit also. Impromptu is the unscripted flow. Perspectives, when you're sharing a point of view. Messages is when you're sharing multiple perspectives, multiple conversations to reach a common ground. Fourth is debate, when all these things put together to prove a point. 5, when debate escalates to a conflict and handling difficult conversations. I want to ask you, which form, as you are with me so far, which form do you use most often? Which form do you witness yourself falling into on a day-to-day basis, both in your personal life and professional life? Now, for sure, if I look at statistics, in the office, it's more of impromptu communication or perspectives. In the home, with your partner or with your parents, it's always debate or conflicts. Again, this is majority, okay? Could be different. Which form do you use the most, and which form challenges you the most? Which form makes it difficult for you? Do share that below. And also, if possible, share a real life example of it. If you're comfortable, if you're not comfortable, you can write to me personally. Again, I need not even say this, that if you want to dive deep into each of these elements in real time, me hand holding you, putting you in these scenarios, or having such conversations with you, would love for you to join our live cohort. The notes of it you will get in our newsletter, which I write every Monday. So it'll be sent to you every Monday morning, 9 a.m. The entire previous week's, all the live sessions, mind maps, and every single thing will be sent to you. You can download it and keep it with you. And other than that, whatever your feelings were, whatever your thoughts were, just feel free to write down. It's the whole reason of doing this live is so that I can kind of dump out every single thing that I want to share. And my only objective is for you to have that resource which you can always get back to so that you can learn. Somewhere uh, as a speaker, I feel when I was making videos back in 2020 and when I'm making videos now, it's a lot more organized than before. Before I used to just jump and scream. Right now I have substance. I know when to control. Of course, the energy is still intact, but the context is what I'm able to set, and I'm able to give you that experience. So I want you to know that this really means the world to me. The fact that you're here with me. And finally, once you recognize in every single conversation which form of communication you are in, you will soon stop reacting. Instead, you will start observing, you will start responding, you will start teaming up. Okay. You will also start to set an intention for every conversation. And is what, that is where true communication truly begins, isn't it? With that, this is Dr. Suryadeep. Thank you so much. Love you for being here with me so far. See you tomorrow, where I'm going to decode the whole aspect, end to end, of evaluation and constructive criticism. It's going to be a ball. See you tomorrow. Love you so much.